Good morning, UC Bearcat fans. It's James Ernest and Mark Fightmaster of UC Bearcats on the Prowl, part of the Grueling Truth Radio Network. Mark, what have the Bearcats been up to?
Well, to tell you the truth, James, the basketball team hasn't been up to much because of COVID. They've had a few games postponed and canceled. So really, we get to kind of put our focus on the Bearcat football team down at the Cotton Bowl.
Definitely. I mean, that's where it should be right now because, this is the biggest game of their career. It's the biggest game of the year. It doesn't get any bigger than this.
Yeah, no, it doesn't, man. This is to go to the national championship. They're one of the final four teams. It's the 4 seed versus the 1 seed, and Alabama wants to sit and say that one of their players are saying that they're being disrespected, but they're the number 1 seed. That's hard to think that the number 1 seed is being disrespected. So it's going to be an interesting game.
They're being disrespected because they're only favored by 14 points. That's disrespectful. Yeah,
I know. What a joke, man. What a joke. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting.
Exactly. There's some really great matchups. The biggest thing, in my opinion, about this game is it all comes down to the corners. UC's corners being healthy and being top first-round prospects, where Alabama also has some first-round prospects at corner, but the problem is they're not healthy.
Right, and I think that's going to give Dez an opportunity to throw the ball on them and to make them, pay. We'll see what happens. I tend to think that the Bearcats actually. I agree with your assertion that the corners, is where it is, especially with UC. With Michi down for Alabama, it gives the Bearcat defense a really good chance to try and make Alabama beat them on the ground. And if that's the case, Alabama ran for 6 yards against LSU. They ran for 70 yards against Georgia in the SEC championship game. Their strength is not on the ground.
Yeah, it is kind of weird. With that, with having, Robinson isn't a bad running back. At times he has done some great things, but yet Ford has definitely outshined him this season with an extra couple hundred yards.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
On fewer
carries.
Yeah.
And again, I think that could be my biggest key for the game, James, is how does UC, can they control the ball? Can they use their running game to control the ball? Can they use Ford on, first and second down, or Dez running on one of those downs, or, whomever? Can they get some positive yards on first and second down, keep it in third and manageable, where then Dez can take advantage of a depleted secondary? I don't know that coming out and airing out every play is the way to go. But, obviously I don't get paid the big bucks. But if they decide to run the ball, and if they can't control it, also keeps the ball out of Alabama's hands.
Yeah, I was going to say, coming out, airing out the ball isn't going to work. It's going to end up being a bunch of third and outs. I don't really like the odds with that. Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong.
You can't get into a shootout.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because Young has 1,000 yards more this season passing, less interceptions. It's just they're a much better passing team. You are right on that 100%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just, there's. I wrote an article for a blog on the 3 things that UC needs to have happen to win the game. Okay, so the first is they do need to take advantage and make Alabama run the ball. The second is they need to run the ball and control the ball. Okay, so we've covered those 2. The third is we need a little bit of luck. Honestly, we need to protect the ball and have a little bit of luck, because in all big upsets, the ball bounces somebody's way every once in a while, So we'll see.
Exactly. I know what you mean. Because a lot of people are making comparisons to the UCF teams from a couple years ago, and just the dramatic difference between them and Auburn, and saying it's even a bigger disparity see between, of course, UC and Alabama this time around.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I hate the comparison game. I think this UC team is more well-rounded than that UCF team was. I mean, granted, they had a good running back and they had a great quarterback and they did well. But I think that this UC team is just, I think they are, I don't want to say better coached, maybe better prepared than the UCF team may. I don't know. It just, the comparison game bugs me. And I think UC's got as good a shot as anybody against Alabama. So I think taking the UCF and Auburn thing a few years back, it's kind of apples to oranges, but is what it is. People love to do that. I mean, what would sports be if we weren't ranking things, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I mean that's what it's all about. Now, my big thing is not so much the offense on either of the teams. It's the front seven for Alabama that I'm more concerned about. I mean, they definitely have put way more pressure on quarterbacks this year with Will Anderson. I mean, he's got 15, almost 16 sacks, and Mathis with 8. I mean, they've got several guys that can really put the pressure. Turner, I mean, that's a big concern. Now, don't get me wrong, UC, has only given up 20 sacks compared to Alabama giving up 33, but it's just, it all matters on who they're playing against.
Yeah, man, and you hit on a big one there. That front seven can be ferocious. And, UC hasn't given up as many sacks as Alabama, but, competition-wise, it's understandable. But also, I think Dez, he's going to have to be mobile. He cannot be comfortable back there, and the Alabama defense isn't going to allow him to be comfortable back there, which is why I think that establishing the running game would be a big deal for UC. If they can get that established early, then they can use the play action. So, but yeah, that front seven is a beast, man.
Yeah, because I mean, like we've been saying, that because of the corners and the skill level of UC, if they're able to slow or stop Alabama's passing offense, and they have to focus just on running. I mean, the two safeties have done a remarkable job for UC this year on the run defense with Hicks and Cook. Yeah,
you're right. The safeties have been good in run support, and the problem becomes if the safeties have to commit too much to run support. And this, scheme-wise, if they have to commit too much to run support, then they get hit with a play action, that's going to open the top up. And no matter how good your corners are covered, if your safeties have sucked in on the run, somebody's going to slip behind them, So we got to be aware. We got to, the defense has to keep their eyes open and just play hard, and we'll see what happens.
What are you talking about? Alabama slipping behind somebody? Shoot, just because Jamison Williams, he had that short touchdown reception for 94 yards.
Yeah, man.
That is insane.
There's any number of things that can scare you about Alabama. Bryce Young, the Heisman Trophy winner, the stud line and stuff, but man, that speed too. I'm not saying UC has a bunch of people that are slow, but SEC speed is sometimes a different creature, man. I remember back when Ohio State won the national championship in 2014 when they beat Alabama. I was amazed when Ezekiel Elliott ran away from SEC players, in that game, when he went on the 83-yard run, and he was running away from them. And, that just, you don't see that often. So that SEC speed is a real thing, dude. And I worry about how we'll be able to handle that.
Well, I think they'll be able to handle it the way they've been, just taking things, one play at a time and doing the right things. They really – the good thing is they've had a month to plan and to structure the game.
And I think that's a big thing, James. You give Luke Fickell a month to game plan for somebody, and the way he is on defense with his defensive mind and helping out with Tressel, I think, they're going to be able to have developed a very good defensive game plan. And then on the offensive side of things, you give people a month, you know how many gadget plays they can come up with? I mean, I don't think – I think UC's going to throw 4 or 5 trick plays at them.
Oh, definitely.
I think because, again, it's theoretically they are outmanned. And sometimes you have to do things to level the playing field. And trick plays can do that. Like maybe a running back throwback to the quarterback, or a double pass or, things like that, It'll be interesting to see what they come up with.
Yeah, I think he'll be creative and really come up with some innovative options to try to create some separation.
Yeah. I think that's, well, like I said, the third aspect is luck, and having the ball bounce your way, but you can kind of create your own luck with gadget plays. If you think about it, so that could be big.
Definitely. So, I mean, obviously it's going to be a huge game. It's going to be on New Year's Day. Then, of course, when they win, then we'll care about that next game.
Right.
Yeah, that's the big thing. When they win. So, what do you think? What's your predictions?
Man, James, I've been thinking about this a lot. Trying to nail down how I feel about this game. I'm going to say it's going to be one of two things. Okay, either Alabama's going to blow them out, or UC's going to win a tight one. I'm leaning towards UC winning a tight one. We'll see. I like you said, the month to prepare. I really like that. I think they can come up with a solid game plan, but you know what? We'll see. That's why they play the game.
Yeah, I was going to say, what bugs me about UC, and I'd never noticed it at the games, that we've had so many different kickers.
Yeah, special teams could bite them in the butt a little bit.
Yeah, because it looks like, based on the stats, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, which I'm really confused on. We had a defensive lineman kick an extra point.
Oh, hey, desperate times call for desperate measures, right?
Yeah, but I mean, if we got 3 place kickers,
yeah.
So I don't know. That one kind of confuses me. And then, the field goal percentages aren't very good. 50, 40, 37. So, I mean, they're not awful, but obviously, like you said, you got to create your own luck, and definitely with special teams is a big important part of it. So, I'm thinking like you, that if UC is going to win it, it's going to be close. It's going to be, 20, 28, 27, 26, something, very competitive, where it'll be within, a point or two.
Yeah, I think in 28, 24, somewhere in there. If UC can pull it out, we'll see. I really hope they can, man. I hope they can shock the world and pull off the upset, which would be probably one of the biggest in college football playoff history. So.
Oh yeah, I would say so. I'd say it would be the biggest in college football playoff history. I mean, it wouldn't be the biggest upset in college football history because UC is a darn good team, but for the playoffs, I would think that would be the biggest upset so far.
Let's hope they can do it, man.
Definitely. Let's see, you mentioned basketball. Like you said, there hasn't been a lot going on because tonight's game got canceled. Now, I am confused because I heard at one point it was a forfeit, but now it just says PPD, so I don't know what the heck that means.
Yeah, and I saw that as well, and because I initially thought it was a forfeit, and then now it's just saying postponed. So I don't know if the American Conference has decided to tweak their policy and are going to try and reschedule it for a different time or what, but I guess we'll see, with this whole Omicron thing going on, it's really throwing a wrench into a lot of stuff. I mean, we've had so many bowl games. We've had so many bowl games canceled, that they put in a policy for the college football playoffs, so who knows what's going to happen. Hopefully we can get through January and get some of these games played.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of that, so wanted to talk about the other teams in our conference and their bowl games. So, of course, the Memphis-Hawaii got canceled, but the one that was really interesting was today's game, Houston winning against Auburn.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good win for the American Football Conference. It's a good sign for UC, for people who like to play that game. I think there's a few people on Twitter who are like, oh yeah, Florida played Alabama close, and Florida just lost to South Florida or somebody, or whoever they lost to in the bowl game, and UC beat them.
Central Florida.
Central Florida, yeah.
Yeah.
And same thing with Auburn. Auburn played Alabama close, and Auburn lost to Houston, who UC beat. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, that one is kind of surprising, the Central Florida.
Yeah, you're right. It was.
Yeah, I mean, not that Central Florida was bad, but Florida, you automatically assume, they're.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, but
that is neat. Yeah, it's kind of like us in Ohio State.
Right. I mean, wouldn't it be hilarious if UC could beat Michigan in the national championship game, and then say, "Hey, we beat somebody," So, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Exactly. So, once again, we're excited about the big game. Definitely, we hope our listeners tune into it. That'll be this Friday, I believe, at 2:30.
Yeah, 2:30 or 3:30, one of the two. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know it's kind of earlier in the day, but then again, hopefully most of our listeners are off work for the day. Unfortunately, we will be stuck at work and watching updates on the phone, or try not to watch updates on the phone so I can watch the whole game that evening. I haven't decided yet.
Yeah.
Will I have the willpower or not?
You know what? I know I won't. I'll be checking updates and all that fun stuff, so.
Well, sounds good, Mark. Any final thoughts before we let the fans go?
Hey, man, you know what? If it's the last game of the season, let's enjoy it and let's have fun watching it. And if it's not the last game of the season, that would be awesome. It's been a hell of a ride to this point, so let's just have fun watching it.
Sounds great. For James Ernest and Mark Fightmaster, this has been the UC Bearcats on the Prowl, part of the Grueling Truth Radio Network.